right, so we're going to start on time. I appreciate everybody for joining. My name is Alana Allen, and I am the founder and executive director of I'm a Queen. And I'm also the owner of Alana Knows Nonprofits, which is a nonprofit startup consultant agency that helps people to get started and helps you to be able to get your programs funded. And I also help you with your public relations if that is something that you're interested in doing. So this is a series that I have started by communicating with nonprofit founders who have expertise in certain topics. So tonight we're going to be talking about public relations, and my friend Porlan Cunningham and my mentor, she is coming to talk to you all about how to do PR, how to get media coverage for your nonprofit fundraisers, your events, or just your programs, okay? So a little bit housekeeping rules. Please, please, please make sure you mute your phones. Make sure you mute your Zooms or your phones or whatever. Please put your questions in the chat. I promise you we'll get to them at the end. We do have some freebies because my birthday is this Saturday, so I want to be a blessing to somebody today, okay? So we're gonna get there. So let me see this. Okay, so like I said, my name is Alana Allen, and I pretty much told you I'm the founder of I'm a Queen, but also Alana Knows Nonprofits. But I've actually been a PR consultant or PR professional for over 13 years. And I have worked in every industry from corporate, politics, nonprofits. Now I work at North Carolina A&T as the director of alumni communications. So I'm happy to be able to speak to you all from that perspective as the founder of a nonprofit. Now I'm going to introduce my friend Porlan, and she's going to tell you a little bit about herself.
So good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. As Alana mentioned, my name is Porlan Cunningham, and I am delighted to be speaking to you all tonight to talk about public relations and how it can benefit your nonprofit organization. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I have been working in the public relations industry full-time since 2007. I started my career in New York City, where I had the opportunity to work at 2 global public relations firms in their healthcare division, implementing public relations campaigns for various pharmaceutical and nonprofit clients. I've also worked in state and local government and even large and small nonprofit organizations. And so currently I am a senior communications consultant with a federal consulting firm here in the Washington, D.C. area where I reside. And one of our biggest clients is the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And on the side, it hasn't been as active as of late due to work, but I have done some freelance PR consulting work for my own consulting firm, Porlan PR. And there I help small minority and women-owned businesses promote, their products and services and get speaking engagements and that kind of thing. So I'm really excited tonight to present to you about public relations and hear a lot of your questions, so that I can help you guys reach your, organizational goals.
Okay, going to the next slide.
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
It's okay. So tonight's presentation will provide a basic overview of what public relations is, what it is not, and how you can incorporate it into your nonprofit marketing plan. And Alana will also go over some additional things later on as it pertains to developing and putting together a PR toolkit. So you can move to the next slide. So the first things first, what is public relations? Well, the textbook definition, as you see here, is the practice of managing communication between an organization and its public. So that's the textbook definition. But in simpler terms, PR is simply the relationship your nonprofit organization has with the community. And so building relationships in the community is very important because it helps you achieve a number of things as it relates to your nonprofit. PR helps you to educate the general public about your organization if they're unaware of it. It helps to raise money with donors because anytime you can attach, an idea or a cause to an organization and pull on the heartstrings of, people in the community, they will open up their wallets and their purses and bags to, support and donate to your organization. And the third thing is, implementing public relations can help you with engaging volunteers and interns. And that's something Alana will go into a little bit more in depth later. But having, understanding what PR is and implementing it will help you, like I said, to educate the general public about your business. It'll help you raise money, and it'll get people, volunteers and interns involved to help, help you push your mission and vision for your organization. So what do people think public relations is? Because I think you throw around, hey, I work in PR, and all of these, ideas come to mind. So go to the next slide. So this is a funny meme. I think every profession is kind of seeing this going around, but this one is for public relations, and it's a funny meme about, what people think we do versus the actual reality. So in the top left, we have what my friends think I do, which is pretty much socializing with clients at happy hour, having a good time after work. In the middle, it says what my mom thinks I do. And I think for my parents, and maybe for your parents too, Alana, my parents don't know what I do. They tell people I work for the government. But in their minds, I run things, and it's evidence in this picture. This lady has a lot of papers on her desk. She looks busy. She looks like she's a boss and running stuff. So that's what our parents think we do. Then you have what society thinks we do, which is planning weddings and galas and corporate dinners and, fancy fundraisers. And that's a component, but it's definitely a niche part of, the public relations profession. And then you have what I think I do, which is in my head being the woman behind the machine. And so here in this picture, you have, President Obama and kind of his fixer, behind him. So that's what we think we do. But in reality, we're pretty much at our laptops solving problems and handling media inquiries and requests and, trying to make sure we're meeting, the requirements that our clients have set forth in some of our, work that has been given to us. And so it's a multifaceted, profession. And we do a lot of these different things, but public relations, and, simply is, we're advocating on the behalf of our clients and solving problems. That's essentially what it is. Next slide, please. So what public relations is not. And so these words on this page, advertising, traditional marketing, social media, publicity, these are all things that encompass an overall communications plan. So public relations is not advertising, because advertising is commercials. It's billboards, it's social media ads, it's ads on your cell phone. It's a component of an overall communications plan, but it's not public relations because it's paid. And public relations is not paid, it's earned. With traditional marketing, it's not this, because with traditional marketing, you're trying to sell a product or a service. And you have the 4 Ps, which is product, price, placement, and promotion. Once again, this is a component of a communications program, but it's not public relations because it's paid. And then traditional marketing is also very numbers driven. There's a lot of research, and it's often tied back into advertising. It's also not social media or digital marketing. So once again, with these things, you're trying to sell a product or a service, and public relations is all about building relationships and gaining awareness organically. And the last thing it is not, which I think a lot of people get this confused, is it's not publicity. Publicity simply means exposure. It's awareness, and awareness alone doesn't build a relationship with the public. Just because I know, an organization exists, it doesn't make me want to move one way or the other. But if I know, say, there's an organization that deals with hunger in my local community, and I know that in, a specific neighborhood or a specific area of town, that's a big issue, then I'm going to try to figure out through my awareness of this organization how I can bridge the gap of getting this organization to, meet the needs of this population through the help, of the community. And then that's how, like I said before, you engage donors. And once you can kind of get them to buy into your cause and tug on their heartstrings, they're more open to donating money. So what I just told you what public relations is not. Now I'm going to tell you what public relations actually is. The main thing is it's about building relationships. Public relations is about, forming relationships with people, organizations, stakeholders ahead of time so that when you do go back to them for the ask, that they're more receptive. You never, I guess I would also liken it to networking. You never want to, meet someone and then the next interaction you have with them, you're asking them for something. Over time, you want to build a relationships, say you're an executive director of, a small nonprofit dedicated to, providing books to children, in the community. Well, you're going to want to, network with, librarians and, different schools and different organizations like that, so that you guys maybe at some point can collaborate for a bigger, like, back to school reading drive or something like that. But you don't want to, like, out the gate ask people for things and you haven't built the relationship. The second thing that we do is we manage our relationships with the media. This is a similar concept. So if you want coverage for your organization, the first time that you reach out to a reporter shouldn't be, hey, I'm having this event, can you come cover it? Because they're going to be like, no, because you haven't built a relationship with them. They don't know you. They like to know that you're following their work and reading, their articles. And a lot of times when you go out to pitch them, they want to know, like, have you read my stuff? Because a lot of people will find reporters and they haven't studied to see what they write about. And a lot of reporters get frustrated because you're essentially pitching information to me that's useless. So it's managing, that relationship. But on the flip side, it's also having a relationship with the reporter so that when news coverage does come up, that you can be kind of a subject matter expert that they think of. So like I said, back to my, hunger example, if they know that there's a food drive coming up or, in your particular city, poverty is a big issue and they want an expert on, hunger statistics in the city and resources that are available, they may be more inclined to reach out to you as the executive director of this particular organization to be featured in the article or the, broadcast. So it's always good to kind of, have an existing relationship and work at it over time so that not only you can be a subject matter expert for them, but that they can also see you as a resource. It's kind of a win-win situation. So we also develop and implement public information campaigns. So an example of this is I used to work for the state of Maryland, and I think this affects everyone in all 50 states, but I believe in beginning October 1st, all residents will need to have what they call a real ID. You have to basically go in, provide some additional identification, your birth certificate, and some other documents so that you can get that little star on your driver's license. It'll help you to be able to board an airplane and to get into federal buildings. Well, my job when I was working for the state of Maryland, particularly the Motor Vehicle Administration, was to come up with a public information campaign to let residents in the state of Maryland know, hey, your ID is good right now, but come October 1st, 2020, you're going to need to get a real ID or upgrade to a real ID in order to be able to enter federal government facilities and board an airplane. And so that was a big statewide initiative where we had to kind of notify people. So we do things like that to build public awareness and get people to do a specific task in order, for, rules and policies to be enforced. We also do storytelling via social media, blogging, and other digital media. Platforms like TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, the usual ones, they're good ways of telling stories for your nonprofit. Testimonials. I just had I have a good example. I just had someone in my family complete kind of a career readiness program. And they sent me the, the actual testimonial on the organization's Facebook page where they highlighted, this particular person went through our program, our career readiness program. It took them 9 months, and afterwards they were able to land this position. And it got so many likes and comments, and it had been posted for 30 minutes and all these people saw it. And, you know, they also encourage people to donate if they wanted to see more of these programs like in the community. So storytelling, utilizing social media, big way to kind of build goodwill within your community. We also handle crises. These are the less fun parts of the job, depending on what the crisis is. I've actually had to deal with this. I'll spare you the details. But handling crises is definitely a learned skill. Alana, I'm sure you can relate to this. It's definitely a learned skill, but we handle, you know, unpleasant news, scandals, being able to kind of not tell the truth, but kind of shift the narrative. I mean, you guys see this all the time with, you know, celebrities and stuff who, you know, do something bad and then they turn around and do community service. It's not so much that we don't realize that you did this bad thing, is that we're trying to shift the narrative so that you're not focusing so much on the bad thing and more so on how they're trying to, you know, redeem themselves. And the last thing that we do is we advocate for our clients while also managing their expectations. And this is important because I can't tell you how many times throughout my career I've had people or clients request, you know, and I'll say this, a lot of organizations, because you're close to it, can kind of feel like it's the most important thing, you know, on the planet. And there are lots of nonprofits, lots of causes, and everybody thinks their news is the most newsworthy and should be on the front page of the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. That is, I mean, people wait their whole careers to get placements like that. And it's prime real estate. It's not to say that you will never like get coverage like that, but it goes back to building those relationships. Being a subject matter expert for reporters when they're writing stories, not necessarily about your organization, but about things within your industry. So it's hard sometimes to tell clients like, it's probably a reach that that you're trying to be on the front page of the Post. But, you know, it's also letting them know that over time, if we do these steps, you know, we can at least end up in that particular publication or on that publication's website.
Okay, so I'm next. All right, so how can you incorporate PR into your organization for free? And one of the things that I'm a Queen is actually known for, we're actually known for being in the news. That is actually how we grew our organization because of my background in public relations. So if you don't have the money to pay for a PR director or to have a PR agency to represent you, you can actually get a board of director who is a public relations or a marketing person to help you with your PR opportunities for you to be able to get into the news. So you can work with your board and create a committee on the board where people can come in and volunteers can come in and actually support you in your PR efforts. Another way is creating an advisory committee. And what that means is these people may not necessarily be a part of the actual nonprofit, but they serve in the capacity for a specific topic. Just recently, I was approached, before the pandemic, I was approached about working for a children's nonprofit by writing stories and figuring out different ways on how to increase their media coverage. And they had pulled together a committee of at least 5 PR people from different backgrounds, all based in Greensboro, North Carolina. And we were going to volunteer for free. So there are people out here who will assist you in your nonprofit organization. And then lastly, you can work with interns and volunteers. So if you're in Greensboro, I don't know where everybody else is from, but Greensboro, North Carolina is a college city. So most of the time, there are going to be interns looking for PR opportunities, the journalism department. That's our major. So we major in journalism. You should be able to reach out, find an intern that should have some type of experience, some writing experience, and get them to start writing your press releases. Get them to start doing your blogs and posting on social media for you. Like, your interns are there to get an experience, but they're also helping you to elevate your message and get it across to the masses. So those are the kind of ways that you can incorporate PR into your nonprofit communications marketing strategy by doing it for free, by getting volunteers to support you, or building your board up by having a professional on there who can assist you. So the next one is the various ways for you to secure media coverage. A lot of times, oh my God, a lot of times in my career, people have said, yeah, I need a press release. And you're like, what do you mean you need a press release? They're like, well, I need a press release because I got this event and I just need it. But people don't realize that a press release is a tool that's going to help communicate like your message of what you're trying to do. Another tool is a media advisory that can assist with reminding the media what your event is about, or like your upcoming function. And then the last thing is a public service announcement. And Porlan, she's going to teach on those three areas. So those are ways that you can secure media coverage for your nonprofit by using 3 tools and getting volunteers to assist you with it. And then I'm going to stop right here. So here's the thing. If you want to work with a PR person, if you want to get a communications team, if you want to get the A squad, the first thing you need to do, you need to know, what are your key messages? What are you trying to say? And I always think of the power of 3. Like 3 is my number. So if you ever want to communicate with people, talk in 3s, get your messaging down to the point that you can explain it in 3 points and be able to tell people exactly what you're trying to do. Here's another thing. If you don't know what your message is, do a brainstorming session with your team, your board of directors, your volunteers, your staff, and get y'all to figure out, what exactly are we trying to say? What exactly are we trying to convey to our audience? Because the goal could be, well, we want to raise money, we want to feed the homeless, we want to give out we want to give out school supplies. What is your message? What are you trying to tell people? So that's the first thing that you should always consider. Always be clear and concise, and just keep it simple. Don't tell us about what your mama did when you was a little child and how you felt. Tell us the facts. Keep it as simple as possible, like so clear to the point they get it, just like boom, boom, pow. Okay? All right, Porlan.
All right, the press release. So the purpose of a press release is to generate publicity. It's to garner awareness about your event or milestone or whatever, and to ultimately get you in the news. And so these are typically sent out a few weeks prior to your event. It's advisable to, research different TV stations, newspapers, blogs, whatever in your area, and locate the proper media contact at that respective organization and send them your press release. And nowadays, because this is kind of a constant thing, a lot of media outlets have dedicated email boxes specifically to receive press releases, and they have someone go through it, daily or multiple times a day to see what new press releases and what's happening in the community. So in terms of where to locate, these media professionals, you can either do a Google search, or a lot of organizations, if they have the resources, opt into a media monitoring / media database service that will have all of the contact information for the various newspapers, broadcast newspapers, radio stations, et cetera, throughout the country. If you so happen to decide to do a national pitch even, they have all of that information already kind of contained within a media database. As far as what to put in your press release, I won't get into formatting, but some of the key things that are, you should definitely include a header and a subheader where if the header isn't specific enough, include a little bit more information in the subheader. It should pique the reporter's interest to want them to read more. And I just want people to keep in mind, when they're developing their press release, always keep in mind that the reporter is not going to read the whole thing. They're gonna skim for keywords. So like Alana said before, you want to know what your key messages are. You want to be clear, you want to be concise, and you want to keep it simple. It should also have contact information for someone who will quickly get back to the reporter. So don't have information on there to somebody's cell phone who doesn't check their voicemail or who has, an email box that they never check, because oftentimes a reporter will reach out and call for clarification before they cover something, and they want to make sure that they have the correct information. And so if they can't get in touch with you, I'm not saying that they're going to just write something completely untrue, but if you don't get back to them, you miss your opportunity to make sure that what they're writing about is correct. You should also include the 5 W's that you see here: the who, who is it involving, what's happening, when is it happening. Don't just put, the date, the time, from this time to this time, because if your event is from 4 to 6, 9 times out of 10, the reporter or the broadcast outlet may not show up directly at 4. So always put an end time as well, because they may show up, if it's 4 to 6, they may be coming from another, shoot or whatever, and can't get to your event until 5:30. And so they want to still have that information so they can still come. And where. Please include, the name of the facility, the address, and if there's a suite, room 101, be as detailed as possible, because you don't want to cause confusion or have reporters miss out on covering your event because they can't, find it. And then the person that you have listed on the contact doesn't answer their voicemail. So don't be that person. And then as far as a quote, this is a good point, Alana. It's good to put a quote in to kind of humanize your press release. I always opt to put a quote at the very top of the press release, right after that first paragraph that includes the most important information. I usually put that information there, a quote that kind of gives emphasis. And don't put a quote in just to do it. Make sure it's meaningful. Make sure it resonates and fits in with the rest of the content. And it'll make for a better experience. And also, a lot of reporters I've found will lift those quotes from press releases and put them directly into the article that they're writing. So make sure it's grammatically correct. Make sure it accurately reflects your views and opinions, because they often get lifted word for word out of the press release. And then lastly, in terms of the closing paragraph, always include information or a place where they can get more information, whether that's a website or a social media page, and reiterate the ask at the end of your final paragraph. So, for more information, visit blah, 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 blah. We will be accepting donations from now through blah, blah, blah. To donate, do blah, blah, blah. You always want to kind of reiterate the ask so that they have that right in front of them. Okay, the media advisory. So the media advisory works in a similar fashion as the press release. Like this slide says, it's a shortened version of the press release. And for me, it gets kind of to the meat. It cuts out some of the other, some of the excess information, and it gets to, the meat, because they'll be able to skim this a lot easier. And it gets right down to the details. So here you'll see a good example. They have the what, the when, the where. They have a few bullet points for details, and details, could include, this will be a good place to put, if there will be special guests, people that are noteworthy that they would probably want to quote or get some time with to speak and get some additional information. And then I like here, available for interview. If there are people within your organization that are available for interview, whether that's the executive director, the PR director, definitely have that information in there, because if they're crunched for time, they can come in, get some, B-roll or whatever, and then identify, hey, I'm trying to reach such and such. Can you direct me to that person, and get their quote, and then they're out. Reporters a lot of times are on, deadline, they're under time pressures. And so with them, quick, concise information always works, and having somebody who can speak succinctly about the mission of your nonprofit, what you're doing, your event, the milestone, whatever, is always helpful and beneficial. And so the last thing I want to talk about are public service announcements. So public service announcements are essentially short radio advertisements about your event, your mission or vision of your org, whatever you're trying to promote. It helps with that. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but the Federal Communications Commission has a rule that broadcast stations are required to provide information that is an issue of concern for the community. So they're required to run free public service announcements for, you know, different organizations. The downside is you don't get to pick when they do that. It could be 2 o'clock in the morning when everybody's asleep. But, you know, they are required to run, you know, public service announcements for free in the community. So this is a great way to, you know, to get the story out about your nonprofit organization to promote. And it's also a good way to build, you know, goodwill with radio stations. Alana, I think you may have, you know, utilized this, but it's a great way to get in with the radio stations so that your time slot can get moved up, you know, up so that when people are listening to the station the most, that's when they hear about your organization or your event. So it's a great way for nonprofits to raise awareness for free. It's completely free. So I'm going to turn it back over to Alana to talk a little bit about the impact of getting media coverage.
Thank you. Okay, so in regards to the impact of media coverage, the one thing that media coverage is going to do for your nonprofit and for your brand and your business is going to make you an expert. It's going to make you an expert and a leader in your field. So for example, for I'm a Queen, we focus on youth, teen girls. So every time there's something around mentoring, self-esteem, social media, the news is reaching out to us. We also are known for our back to school event. So we have a lot of media coverage that's around that. So sometimes the media reaches out to us in regards to what we're doing for kids going back to school technically. So media helps you to become an expert, a thought leader. It helps you to be someone who can go out here and represent the organization. It also elevates your influence, which means you as an executive director, you have so many opportunities where the media might say, you know what, you're a very fascinating person. Y'all have an amazing program. Y'all are serving 200 people every month. We want to do an article just about you. We want to talk to you about your life and why you started this organization, because usually the first question they're going to ask you is, why did you start your organization? What's your mission statement? Like, what do you guys do? Why is it important for people to give to your nonprofit organization? So you will increase your influence if you start utilizing news, the media. And the last thing is, it brings awareness to your mission. And like I tell my clients, your mission statement should tell us exactly what you're trying to do. So if you are trying to empower teen girls, if you're trying to support the homeless, if you're trying to work with the senior citizen community, your mission statement should tell us that. So that means that when something pops up, the media will come looking for you. So you're going to attract media into helping you to elevate your brand, your nonprofit, which also increases your donations. Because it has happened to me several times. Okay. Words of wisdom. Public relations requires you to build relationships with key people in your community and the media. I know for a lot of people, you feel like, hey, I'm so new. People don't know who we are. It's okay to send an email. It's okay to reach out to the media on Twitter and respond back to them about their little funny little tweets about their dogs and their cats. It's okay to comment and pretty much figure out, how can I build a relationship with this person? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I have built relationships with people in the media to the point that we're Facebook friends. They're hitting you up, asking you for advice. They're asking you, hey, can you help me with this special project that I'm trying to launch? Like, we'll start with you. So build relationships with people. It's almost like what your grandma told you. Be kind. You know, just talk to people. Talk to people. Be kind. Say thank you. And when they do interviews, you know, follow up and be like, you know, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity. And always keep people updated about what you're doing. Keep them updated. Keep them involved in your progress, because they want to know, and they'll come back and say, hey, well, we want to partner with you again. All right. And we're almost towards the end. So the freebies. So tonight, I'm going to send everyone a PR toolkit that is going to include a press release, public service announcement, media advisory, and an editorial social media calendar that's going to help you with your content. So you're going to get that in your email. You'll also get the recording of this presentation. And let me see. Okay, she didn't drop off. So as far as the donation, so yes, my birthday is this Saturday. So as far as the donation, I would like to give my donation of $40 to Muriel. Her name is Muriel. She was the first person to act. Yeah. So what I need you to do, I need you to email me either your Cash App or, honey, I don't know how else people get money, but Cash App or some PayPal. I don't do no Venmo. I don't know how to do that. All right. So Muriel, thank you so much for being the first person to come into this session. And then for my next giveaway, I want to give, let me make sure she's still on here, Ashley Mitchell. She was the second person to come in. I want to give you a complimentary ticket to my grant writing seminar that's going to happen on November 9th and November 10th from 5 to 6:30. The cost of it is $40, but you're going to learn how to write grants and also learn how to research grants. So I want to gift that to you. So Ashley Mitchell, I'm going to need your email in the chat, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's always good to be a blessing because God is so good. We ain't gonna go there right now. Okay. So now for questions. So what I'm gonna do is, so I can see people, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And for anybody who has questions, you can put them in the chat and we can see. Okay. There's Lord Jesus. Yes, God's good all the time. Yes, God. All right. Does anybody have any questions in regards to public relations that Porlan and myself can answer?
Question: did they find this information helpful? Let's start there. We gave them a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, look. Okay, that's good. That's affirming. Thank you. Very helpful. Yes, I wrote good notes. Oh, yeah. Helpful. Yes. So the information was. We're gonna have to do a part 2.
Note takers are money makers, y'all. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? Does anyone have a question? PR. How to get that some media. Nonprofit starting is very informational in the process of becoming an LLC, and this was great.
Oh, congratulations. That's cool.
Congrats. Y'all ain't got no questions.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question about release. We are emailing these. Okay, so yes. For first release, okay, so I have to do this a little bit. So back in the day, well, maybe in the 90s, before the email, PR people used to show up at the news station to pretty much hand deliver a press release.
Girl, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have had to switch.
They used to type them up on typewriters and hand deliver announcements. So thank God that we are in the digital age. All you have to do is email the press release. But what you should always do, I love this, you always put a pitch at the beginning. What that means is, hey, Tracy, I hope you're doing well. I'm the Queen has an opportunity where we're going to be giving out 800 backpacks to kids on August 1st on such and such, wherever location it is. I was interested to see if you would be willing to cover us. I have 2 of our mentees that would be interested in doing the interview and to talk about what they're doing to volunteer. And below is our press release. And what you can do is you put the press release in the email, and you also include photos of like previous events, school supplies. If you like, I think Mr. Rosa, is he on here? He also has like, he does like face masks. So if I was him, I would put like pictures of the product inside of the email, because reporters don't like to search. They need it right then and there. You have to give it to them right then and there. Okay.
Can I add a point to that?
Uh-huh.
Also, when you send the press release, it's okay to follow up with a phone call. Maybe not like 10 minutes after you send it, but give them some time to maybe, if you send in the morning, follow up, by early or late afternoon, and just say, hey, I'm calling from such and such, nonprofit. We're having an event. I sent a press release this morning, blah, 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 and kind of jog their memory. I can't tell you how many reporters I've gotten them to come to events after I've called. They will have gotten it and like saw it come through, didn't really do anything. But because I initiated and gave them a call, they were able to search through their inbox. Oh, here it is, I see it. And then while they have me on the phone, confirm some information, ask some additional questions, and boom, I have them confirmed for the event.
Boom. Okay. How long were you in business before you started the process of becoming a nonprofit? This is from Tamara. All right. So in regards to me, so I'm about to be 35. I started I'm a Queen when I was...
Ooh, child. No.
I started I'm a Queen when I was 23. So I was like fresh out of college, just going into my career. I started in a recession. I didn't have no money. I was broke, y'all. And I started at the bottom, like the bottom. So for me, my process was a little different because I was still like a kid. And as I went into my profession in public relations, PR helped me to develop I'm a Queen, because I learned from politicians and business owners and CEOs, what I should be saying when I'm like out here talking about this nonprofit. So for me, my story is a little different because I was so young and fresh and broke that I was just optimistic, So that was my story. And then but it took probably like 5 years because we're 11 years old. It took 5 years in for us to really hit that boom. But what the boom was? When we partnered with 97.1 in Greensboro, they needed a nonprofit partner and they wanted to partner with us for back to school. And that is when my nonprofit took a shift because we got that promotional deal. And I've had that same partnership, I'm going to say about good 6 years, about good 6-7 years with that. Next question. Is there room in the grant writing session? Oh, yes. I haven't even opened up the link. Like, we about to announce that you'll have the link next week. But the grant writing session will be November 9th and November 10th. It is $40. The person teaching it is Amanda Pierce for Funding for Good. She's amazing. Like, she's amazing. And she's from North Carolina, y'all. Okay. I started February of 2020 at the age of 18. You right about that? That's good. We having a Zoom Facebook Live event. Do we need the media? It depends. Mr. Rosa, can you unmute yourself and explain what you're doing?
Hey, how y'all doing? Well, we're having an award ceremony for men making positive changes. And at the same time, we're giving out a scholarship as well. So we're trying to see do we need to get in contact with the media to let them know about it, because it's going to be on Zoom via Facebook Live.
Porlan, you take that one.
I would definitely send information out to the media about the Facebook Live. If they're not able to check in while you're having the event, they'll at least have the information about the award, when it happened, the recipients, and they can write about it that way. But yeah, it's okay to send out. I don't know if you've already sent out. I'm not sure when your event is happening, but I don't know if you've already sent out the press release and the media advisory. But yeah, it's definitely worth sharing with the media. Especially, I don't know the mission, of your organization, but it's okay to send that information so that they have that and can include it in, should they choose to write about it. So I would.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Rosa, I would add to this. When I did back to school, the media actually they actually set up a Zoom meeting with me, and they recorded the interview on Zoom. So if I were you, the way I would pitch it, I would say, look, we're doing this scholarship award ceremony on Facebook Live, but can we set up a Zoom interview so I can talk about it, and they can like schedule it, and you can be on the morning show, because they're always looking for content. So pitch it for them to do a pre-interview so that you can talk about it and then drive traffic to your Facebook Live. That's what I would do.
All right, cool. I like that. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you send a press release for everything you want to share about events, new branding, new locations? How often do you send out a press release? Okay. I'm gonna take this one. So there's a difference. There are moments in your life where you have to realize when things are newsworthy.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah.
When should this go out to the media? So let's say you're doing a benefit gala for children who have cancer. You should absolutely send that press release out to the media. If you're doing a fashion show to benefit lupus, you send the press release out. But if you're gonna like change locations or rebrand, that's more of something that I would do on Facebook, and I might just boost like a Facebook ad for it. But things as far as like an event, a new program that's going to benefit a wide range of people. Let's say this program is going to help homeless people be able to transition from the streets to an apartment building. And let's say you partner with a church, and the church is assisting your program with housing people, then yes, that is a great way to promote the program and how people can find out more information, and then you become an expert. But you have to decipher about what is newsworthy. And for me, it's always been reading the paper, looking at the news. I'm a big CNN breaking news type of person. That's just me. But follow the news and study what they write. And then when you approach people, it's always good to say, hey, I saw that you covered the Rosa Foundation on this. My organization also does this. Would you be interested in interviewing us? It's okay to leverage another nonprofit's moment. Dead serious. Okay. Do we have any more questions? Look like we don't. Amazing content. Thank you both for this invaluable information. Y'all are so welcome. Porlan we both went to A&T, and she was ahead of me by 1 year. And ever since I've been in the career of PR, she has always been like my go-to press, like resume.
We've been there for each other, for sure.
We got some years, but
yes.
She is definitely someone that I go to. And even today, like I run a publication for A&T, and like sometimes I'll reach out to her and say, hey, can you edit can you review my content to make sure that it looks good? Because we're both writers, we're PR people, but sometimes you need that second, confirmation or affirmation, like, hey, good job. Hey, Bonnie, that's my friend. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen because, it's time to make moves. Okay, so we're done with questions. The next part, okay, upcoming events. So for next month in October, for how they grew their nonprofits, we're going to be talking about board of directors, how to build your board, how to get board members. Why do you need board members? Because a lot of times nonprofits, when they start, they have a problem with understanding that you do not own your nonprofit at all. This is a public charity, and the board has the power to vote out the executive director if it's in the bylaws. So we're going to sit down with Princess Johnson on October 15th at 7:30 via Zoom to talk about building your board and why do you need your board. And also another thing, your board of directors should be helping you with fundraising for your organization. If they are not fundraising, why are they assisting you with this organization? You need people who are going to advocate, be ambassadors, people who are going to keep this organization afloat and worry about the mission and go for the mission and make connections. I can go all day, y'all, but that's what we talk about in October. And then the grant writing. The grant writing workshop, which I'm super excited, is a 2-day workshop via Zoom. Well, it'll be virtual. It's not going to be on Zoom. It's going to be Monday, November 9th and November 10th on that Tuesday from 5 to 6:30. And it's going to be with Mandy Pierce for Funding for Good. Her website is fundingforgood.org or .com. However, I'll send the information out. It's going to be $40. That's going to cover your registration. You'll get the recording and you'll also get the handout. Let me see. And it's also limited seating as well, because we don't want to do too many where people can't ask enough questions and learn. She wants to be able to impact and give you more information. So that's what I have coming up in October and November. And I'll send out, y'all should have already received the email for the October session. And then last, to get in contact with us, here's our contact information. You can screenshot it, but you'll also get the slides as well. So this was our presentation, and I thank everybody for joining.